This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Welcome to My Business Stars, a podcast series featuring conversations with disabled business owners telling their business stories. Hosted by the Disability Business Network. I'm that blind woman, Julie Woods, from the Disability Business Network, host of the My Business Stars podcast. And today's guest is Lloyd, Chief Vision Officer from Myaccomm. Welcome, Mike, to the studio.
Hey, how are you?
Lovely to have you coming in from where?
Tauranga today. Yep, Tauranga, based in Tauranga now, which is really enjoying it. Yeah, it's great.
You've come south.
Yes, I busted out of Auckland about 4 years ago.
And?
Yeah, I like it. It's not that it should be a surprise, but I'm really enjoying it. It's nice. It's a nice pace of life. It's still got a vibrant atmosphere, but it's not quite as hectic as the old Auckland rush of pace of life. Is a bit more, obviously, Auckland-like.
And tell me, was the reason to Tauranga a business decision or business-related decision? Was it a move towards your business?
Partially, yeah, it was. Basically, we left Auckland after the first bout of lockdowns and stuff, thinking that Auckland's going to lock down a lot more often potentially than other places. So we got out while we could, and strangely enough, we predicted that one quite well. And we also, obviously, a lot of people went through the whole, life thinking stage of during the whole lockdown period. And one of our, I suppose, long-term dreams was to set up like a B&B or something for something to do when you get older. And we got to the point where we thought, well, what are we waiting for? Why don't we just move now and set it up and enjoy life now instead of, waiting for something that who knows what's going to happen in the future, so just get on with it. So we sort of combined both and moved down to here. Set up a B&B and never looked back. It's been great, yeah. And
what did you like about having a B&B?
Initially, it was more my partner, Laura. It was her sort of long-term, when I retire sort of thing. But it was great because it enabled us, more her at the time, to be able to work from home and run a business at the pace that she wanted to and the way that she wanted to, and get away from having a boss that told you how to do it, and just be ourselves and just enjoy life and enjoy doing the hospitality thing, which has been really good.
That's a new thing for you?
Yeah, from that angle it is, yeah. I've worked in sort of like a long time ago, I used to work more on the entertainment side of hospitality, which is potentially what I get looked at now. But yeah, it's good. I really enjoy it. It is good, yeah.
And so do you have an accommodation, place that what is it, a room or two, or?
We bought a place here, which is basically a one level house. It's got a separate room at each end of the house, which has got its own. Each room's got its own external entrance and its own ensuite and all that sort of stuff. And it's all one level, so it means that we've got a room at each end of the house that we can let out, and we live in the middle part, which is really good. So people can either stay and be quite independent, or if they want to join us for a meal or something, we're just through a door, so it works both ways.
And I know accessibility is important to you, so I'm assuming your accommodation is accessible.
Yeah, well, accessibility, if we had to tick the formal accessibility list, we probably wouldn't make it. But what we've put together is something that's accessible for a lot of people. In other words, we haven't got like accessible bathrooms as far as roll-in showers and ample space and that sort of thing, but it's suitable for certain people with varying levels of access needs. So a big key and component of what we're putting together of the business thing is more being open and transparent about what you've got to offer, because what you may have to offer may suit someone better than something that formally ticks an accessibility list, if you know what I mean. Everyone's different. What's accessible and preferable to someone is possibly not for someone else. So.
Yeah, and everything is different as well. So everyone is different, and we all have our own access needs, whether we're disabled or non-disabled, but also, as you say, many accommodation places or motels or hotels, they vary so much, don't they? Whether it's even if it's a non-accessible room, sometimes you've got to hop over the bath to get into the shower, and there's all those variables. So it's good to have that certainty around information about your accommodation.
The key, I think, is the key thing is the information, and people know what they're turning up to use, rather than getting there and finding out surprises. I thought it had this and it hasn't. There's nothing more disappointing than, if I knew that, I wouldn't have stayed. It's too late now.
So tell me about MyAccom, because your business has moved towards this. What is it?
So essentially, it's an online platform similar, if you like, in nature to Airbnb or Book a Batch, or one of those sort of short-term accommodation and rental sites. But the major focus is on accessibility. So finding places that are going to suit you or a family member or partner or whatever, so that you can travel and stay in a place that's going to suit you and your specific access needs. So there's the physical angle. The digital angle of that is also trying to put a site together that is going to meet people's access needs. Because some of these other sites are fantastic as to what they do, but they can quite painful to get around, and you can spend a lot of time just finding out what you want to find out, or going through the whole booking process can be like, oh my God, I need a holiday just to get through the booking process.
And I know that, this is your area of expertise. For those who don't know you, you've been working in adaptive technology for a long time in terms of access needs for blind people and people with low vision. So obviously that was important to you.
Yeah, it is, and it's been a huge challenge, and it's probably one of you don't know how deep the deep end is until you jump in the pool, right? But
splash.
It's been a great challenge. It's certainly exceeded what I thought it was going to be, and it's probably a good thing, because if you look back and you think, well, oh my God, what I've been, what I've taken off on the swim to find out how far I had to go, but it's been really good. I've learned a lot, and it's certainly something that's got a long way to go, but it's going forward really. I'm really enjoying it. It's quite an interesting process. So yeah, it is very, it's certainly been a big part of my life as far as the accessibility and technology side of things. So it's interesting to see what can happen in this scope of things, especially these days with all the talk of AI and how useful it may be and how useful it may not be, and it's interesting to see what options are ahead of us in that way.
And let's move to your dream. What is the dream for your site and your business?
Two angles, really. One is the user end, from the guest or the traveller aspect. Like I say, my dream is that people can have another option when they're looking at getting away and staying somewhere, so they can have a site that they can use easily and effectively. Secondly, find the physical attributes that they're looking for in a property or a place to stay. And thirdly, which is probably almost just as important as all the others, is the whole guest experience. The big thing I'm looking for is host properties, properties that have got someone who lives there or someone who knows about disability because they've either got a disability themselves, or they've experienced disability through family or whatever. So it's I don't know about you, but I've turned up to enough hotels and stuff, and people look at you and think, "Oh my God, what have we got here?" And it can be sort of at just the level of acceptance, and that's social interaction when you're staying somewhere can be just really important, because quite often you've travelled from somewhere, you might have been out for the day, you've been busy, you're tired. It's like the last thing you want is patronising or different behaviour towards you, and you think, well, that was great, I might as well leave my dignity at home.
Or to hand you a print form and a pen.
Yeah, just fill this in, would you?
To complete it. I'm going to ask you, what advantage do you think your impairment brings to your business?
It's made me laugh at a lot of things.
So are you happy to share a bit about your impairment?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I was I've lived with a visual impairment all my life, and I've been basically totally blind for the last at least 10 years, I suppose. And I had the luxury of being diagnosed with Parkinson's about 12 years ago, which put a whole new light on getting around and doing things and
Mm.
interacting with the world. So that part of it's been really good in the sense that I've learnt. Um, I think a lot of us sort of learn about one disability or one impairment that you maybe used to living with, and it gave me a whole new respect for people with different disabilities when I sort of decided to have a second one because it highlighted things that was so easy a little time ago, and all of a sudden now you find, oh, this is a challenge.
Mm.
Um, so it, and obviously working in the field of technology and working with people that had disabilities as well made me sort of respect the whole idea of, well, I'm learning all these different ways to adapt and learn different ways of doing things and finding out options that work for me and different states of mobility and different states of um, fatigue and everything else. I thought, well, if we can do this, then surely others could do the same. Which is why the whole hosting thing's been really important to me because both Laura and I have sort of found different ways that we can use technology to get around obstacles. We've had to find um, technical solutions that work for us. Had to find ways to get around, like um, even just like servicing the rooms. If it's all very well that you can clean a room, but if it's just your own home, you think, oh, if I've missed a spot, it doesn't really matter. But if you're offering a room to someone someone's spending money to stay at your property, it's got to be up to a certain, good standard. So we've had to find ways around that to make sure that we can provide the level of service that people are entitled to. So yeah, that level of personal experience has been, it's been priceless.
Mm. It's amazing to hear you just talk about that, and I think you'd get used to an impairment, as you say. You and I are both used to being blind, and that doesn't seem, you adapt and you operate in a certain way, and then to add something on top of that, it then it's just another adaptation, isn't it?
Yeah, and what we've found is we're not far from a private hospital here, so we get quite a few people that come to stay that have they've gone in for some form of surgery or treatment, and they just want a day or two to rest up before they head off home and stuff. And just the fact that they've come in here and they think, oh, all right, they're a bit different, they're feeling a bit off and stuff, and they're starting talking to us and what we're living with, and they think, oh, okay, I can sort of relate to that. Um, and people don't sort of feel that whole point of difference. They think, oh, okay, this is the struggles I'm going through temporarily because of surgery aren't anything over the top. But we should treat them like everybody else. And that whole reassurance is quite evident. You can see people think, oh, okay, I can relax. I can just be whoever I am at the moment.
It's that whole thing about fear of being judged, isn't it? Which, when you think about what you offer, it's, you openly embrace people when they walk in, whoever that is. It's interesting that that's not a worldwide or experience, is it? It's not something that happens everywhere.
It's something that's so easy when you think about it. When you bring it to the forefront, you think,
Yeah.
oh, well, yeah, why shouldn't we just be accepting of whoever someone is when they show up? If you just turn up as yourself, it's like, well, that's fine, be yourself.
Yeah, but
You're on holiday. What I mean, how many of us have gone away on a trip and got home and think it was possibly more hard work than it should have been?
just getting there and you arrive at the reception and that's not the end of your journey. You've got this whole thing to navigate and to work through, as I say, forms and passageways.
That sort of thing. Or even somebody's really helpful. You just travelled for 16 hours to get somewhere, and then someone wants to give you an hour long dictation of what's in your room. You think, oh, just show me where the bed and where the coffee machine is, and get out. um,
Tell me, you talked before about the best thing about having a business is that you are the boss. Is that the case?
I pretend I'm the boss, yeah.
Oh no, I think Laura was the boss. I think is what you said. You're your own bosses. Is that the best thing about having a business?
I think the big part as I like about it is you can actually influence some of the flavor or the whole,
Mm.
um, yeah, almost like a bit of an emotive feel within what you're doing in your marketing and the feel, the way you meet people and stuff. So I think your individual character becomes very much part of the brand. And I find that quite cool. Not that you want to live as a brand, but just to be able to be yourself and recognize that who you are is got value, you know?
Yeah, and I can,
Um,
it is cool, isn't it? You're able to shape something yourself, and you've worked in the workplace, and sometimes you have to suppress that when you do for someone else or in an organisation.
yeah,
So,
it is good, working for a bigger organization. You learn protocols and what's right and what's wrong, and it's all got value, but um, and not to say you let down those levels or standards when you're working for yourself. It's probably more important because it's your beast that you can bring down if you don't do it right. But that is nice to just be yourself, really.
do you have values for the business?
A big part to me it sounds strange, but that whole um, sense of belonging and dignity is a big one. Um, and just being, yeah, dignity is a huge one. It's being proud to be yourself and accepting of who you are and what you should expect. And it's not in an arrogant way. It's more just a genuine. Well, I want to be treated as everyone else is. And my expectation of the world should be the same as everyone else. There's nothing worse than going somewhere as a person with a disability and thinking, oh, well, I've got to be aware, or I've got to almost go and walking around with a bit of a victim mentality, waiting for the next, crappy situation to happen.
Mm. I know, I know,
So,
I know. Sports is a big thing in your life. Is there a sporting angle to the business?
but partially, I suppose a big part that I learned myself was I was traveling a lot, um, to do with running and stuff for a long time. So going overseas with people that had varying disabilities, that was a huge learning curve. Um, and even now, moving around the country doing different sporting events has been really good, and getting in amongst it all. And because of that, we've had people stay with us here, that have obviously come into Tauranga for various sporting events as well. So we managed to have to share that life experience with people. It has been really, yeah, really exciting. It's just yeah, I've learned a lot from that. Every learned experience has a time where you can sort of pay it back, where you can utilize that skill or that knowledge in a future engagement. It's quite bizarre how it all works.
Well, you've done the New York Marathon 10 times, so you must have learnt from doing that.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal experience. There's nothing like quite being paired up with someone who's got a different disability. I mean, I've been guided around New York as a blind person with someone who's totally deaf. You think, how's this going to work? or,
But it
or
does.
oh yeah. One day we paired up with like a wheelchair user, and no taxi would stop for him, and I couldn't see the taxi. So it was like, and we got him to back into a door of a building. I stood out on the curb. He could see the cab coming, and he said, "Now," and waved it down. Opened both the doors, and he came wheeling out and got in the cab. So you find out ways of making things work for you, but there's
Yeah. Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of laughs, a lot of good times, and a lot of adaptions.
It's yeah, it does make you do things differently and certainly get out of your comfort zone. That's great. Is there anyone, Mike, you'd like to thank for helping you with your business so
I
far?
think a big part of this journey in the last couple of years has been, we had the general idea of building it beyond just what we're doing, getting other people involved, and working with Minnie Baragwanath and the global centre of possibility was brilliant because it sort of helped me expand my initial aspirations, if you like, into a practical pathway.
That's
And
great.
made me sort of venture beyond my own limiting beliefs and fears and imposter syndrome portions of time.
Mm.
Yeah, who am I trying to do this crazy stuff? But yeah, it has been really good, and yeah, so big thanks to her and the crew. Yeah, it did help me put a bit more of a practical business plan into action, and give me some direction as to how to get things moving, which has been really encouraging.
That's great. And we know you're a man of action, and we've got to that time already where we reach the end of the episode. So, Mike, tell listeners how they can get hold of you.
Yep, so the main way is probably just through the website itself, which is Myaccomm, short for My Accommodation, so MyAccom.nz, so myaccomm.nz, and all the contact info's in there.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your business story with us today. It's really exciting. I can tell how authentic the whole experience is. So congratulations on putting that plan into action and putting yourself out there into the world, and good luck.
Yes, thank you.
Great. You've been listening to the My Business Stars podcast, hosted by the Disability Business Network today. The Disability Business Network is the only business network in Aotearoa, New Zealand, dedicated to business owners who live with an impairment. If you are disabled, own your own business, and would love to mix with people who look like you, then join us today at the Disability Business Network. You can find us at disabilitybusinessnetwork.org, or you can contact that blind woman, Julie Woods, on 021 913 513, or email julie@thatblindwoman.co.nz. At the Disability Business Network, we believe in disabled people being successful in their own businesses and becoming business stars.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.